Good day, my friends. Today we return once again to the story of Max, a long-distance truck driver doing everything he can to survive in the tough world of freight transport. In the previous episode, Max successfully completed a delivery of a batch of clothes dryers from Sega to the French city of Strasbourg. The journey covered 1,184 kilometers, and for this job the transport company paid him 3,340 euros. After unloading, Max allowed himself one day of rest, and by the next morning he was already heading out for a new assignment. So today, we find ourselves in France, in the city of Strasbourg. There were not many good delivery offers available, so Max chose one of the longest routes, which also offered a decent payment. The job today is the transport of pallets loaded with sandwich panels, with a total weight of 12 tons. The destination is Palermo, a major city in southern Italy, located on the island of Sicily, right on the shores of the Mediterranean Sea. It is known as one of the most vibrant and atmospheric cities in the country, where different eras, cultures, and architectural styles all come together. But I'll tell you more about this city a little later. The distance from Strasbourg to the delivery point is 1,276 kilometers, and Max will earn 3,328 euros for this trip. As mentioned, today's cargo is a shipment of sandwich panels weighing 12 tons, a perfect load, not too heavy, for Max's new Volvo truck with its 500 horsepower engine. It will handle it with no problem. Max will leave Strasbourg after midday and cover about half the route by evening. Around 10 o'clock at night, he will stop for rest and spend the night on the road. The journey will continue early the next morning, as soon as daylight returns. This time, the plan is to drive all day without further stops, and according to calculations, around 6 in the evening we will arrive at the port city of Naples. There, the truck will immediately board a ferry and cross the Bay of Naples to the destination port, the city of Palermo. The ferry crossing will take about 8.5 hours, covering a distance of 335 kilometers. As a result, we are expected to arrive in Palermo late at night, around 2 o'clock local time. The unloading will take place directly at the port, so Max won't need to drive through the city at night, which is definitely a good thing. Well then, it's time to get back to work. And just like that, we're back on the road. If this is your first time on our channel, let me briefly explain our story. Max is a truck driver who came to Europe to work with absolutely nothing, and step by step, he is trying to build his way up and reach his goal, to survive and succeed in the tough world of freight transport, and ultimately earn 1 million euros. Everything here is set in realistic conditions, with no shortcuts and no advantages. It's all based on real-life logistics, low freight rates, real fuel prices for trucks, and realistic diesel consumption. On top of that, there are harsh weather conditions, heavy fines for speeding, unexpected road situations, and route closures. We have it all. Sometimes the roads are bad, and delivery deadlines are strict. If Max is late for unloading at the scheduled time, he pays heavy penalties to transport companies, and in some cases, he could even end up losing money on a job. Max is not a robot, and he cannot go without sleep. In addition to strict driving time limits, he can easily become exhausted on the road and crash his truck if he is not careful. The truck's handling and behavior are designed to feel as realistic as possible. Stability is reduced, meaning the trailer can easily tip over in turns. The braking system is also realistic, with longer stopping distances, especially when carrying heavy cargo, and much more like that. In short, it's never boring with us. Make sure to subscribe, leave a like, and drop a comment. After each trip, Max personally reads your comments and replies whenever he can. Let's help him overcome all the challenges, so he can reach his dream of earning 1 million euros. And if you missed any of the previous episodes, you could always find them in the channel playlist or through the links at the end of each story. Thank you for your support. Max truly appreciates it. Well, here we are back on the road again. And to make the journey feel a little shorter, let me tell you a bit about our destination, the large and well-known Italian city of Palermo. Palermo is a city that leaves a strong impression from the very first moment, because history, the sea, and everyday life are so deeply intertwined here that it is almost impossible to separate the past from the present. Located on the northwestern coast of the island of Sicily, along the Tyrrhenian Sea, it is surrounded by mountains and enjoys a warm Mediterranean climate that makes it attractive all year round. To begin with its origins, Palermo started as a Phoenician settlement chosen for its natural harbor. Sailors and merchants quickly recognized its strategic value, and it soon became an important hub for maritime trade. Later, the city came under the influence of many different civilizations, each leaving a distinct mark. The Romans strengthened its role as an administrative center, the Arabs transformed it into a flourishing and sophisticated city with advanced irrigation systems and gardens, and the Normans added grand palaces and churches. This layered history shaped Palermo into a place where Eastern and European influences coexist in a truly unique way. As history continued to unfold, the city became a true cultural crossroads. Today, you can still see traces of Arabic decorative patterns on Christian buildings, Byzantine mosaics alongside Norman arches, and later Baroque squares that added a more theatrical character to the urban landscape. This combination of styles makes Palermo one of the most distinctive cities in the Mediterranean region. Moving into the modern city, the historic center immediately stands out with its dense and atmospheric streets. Narrow alleys, old buildings with balconies, lively markets, and the constant energy of daily life create the feeling of a place that is always alive and moving. The atmosphere is vibrant and sometimes chaotic, but it is exactly this energy that gives Palermo its character. Walking further through this city, you encounter its architectural treasures. One of the main landmarks is Palermo Cathedral, a monumental structure that reflects the many layers of the city's history through its diverse architectural styles. Another highlight is the Norman Palace with the Palatine Chapel, famous for its breathtaking golden mosaics that fill the interior with a warm, almost unreal glow. These sites reveal just how rich and complex the city's past truly is. Continuing the exploration, Palermo's famous markets cannot be ignored. Places like Bolaro and Vuxeria are not just commercial areas, but living cultural spaces. Here, you can hear local voices, smell fresh produce, and experience traditional street food that reflects centuries of cultural blending. These markets remain a vital part of everyday life and preserve the authentic spirit of the city. If you move slightly away from the busy center, Palermo reveals another side of itself. The city is surrounded by sea, mountains, and natural landscapes that create a striking contrast between urban intensity and peaceful scenery. Nearby beaches with clear water and elevated viewpoints offer stunning panoramas over the city and coastline, making it not only a cultural destination, but also a natural one. And of course, Palermo is also famous for its cuisine, which has become an attraction in its own right. Street food plays a central role here, combining Arabic, Italian, and Mediterranean influences into unique flavors that can be enjoyed right on the streets. This culinary diversity adds yet another layer to the city's identity. In the end, Palermo is not just a city, but a living world where history has never disappeared. It continues to exist in everyday life. It reveals itself slowly through its architecture, its streets, its people, and its atmosphere, leaving a deep and lasting impression. That is why Palermo remains one of the most unique and unforgettable cities in the Mediterranean, a place that always invites you to come back and discover more. That concludes our little virtual tour of today's destination. If you enjoyed it and learned something new and interesting along the way, please don't forget to leave a like and subscribe to Max's channel. It would really mean a lot and help support him through the tough challenges he faces on the road. Thank you in advance, and now Max will continue his journey. And here we are. We've arrived in the Italian city of Palermo. Our cargo, a container with a large shipment of sandwich panels, is now being unloaded at the logistics warehouse. And Max can finally take a short break after a long journey that covered 1,276 kilometers. Today, our driver earned €3,328 for this delivery, which means another successful day and one more step closer to his dream. After deducting all additional expenses for fuel and road costs, Max's total balance now stands at €10,806. At the moment, Max owns a brand new Volvo FH6, a 2026 model, along with his own curtain-side trailer, and he still has a bank loan of €120,000. But he is not giving up. He keeps moving forward on his path to success. If you enjoyed this story and want to see more exciting adventures with Max on the road, make sure to subscribe to the channel, leave a like, and turn on notifications. Trust me, it only gets more interesting from here. New deliveries and new challenges are waiting just around the next corner. Don't miss a single episode of this journey. Stay with us on the road.